We are continuing our discussion on fluid properties. So far we have discussed about the properties of fluids such as mass density, weight density, vapor pressure and viscosity. So these properties we have defined and discussed, and now in this lecture we will discuss about two more properties of fluids. One is capillarity, other one is compressibility. So we will first discuss about capillarity. So capillarity, so we have studied about the capillary action in elementary physics during our +2 days. So we know that as far as a tree or a plant is concerned, there is a rise of water through the stem of the plant. So that will help in photosynthesis in the leaves, and also we have the rise of sap through trees. So this rise, is it against gravity? So that is the main question. So there is rise of water and sap through the tree in the upward direction. So water transport in plants, is it against gravity? No, it is not. It is due to a specific action known as capillary action. So we will define the capillarity property or the capillary action as the phenomenon of rise or fall of a liquid through a very small diameter tube when dipped in a liquid is known as capillarity. So if you have a small diameter tube, if you dip in a liquid, there is a chance of that liquid to wet the inside surface of the tube and rise through the tube. That is one case. The second case is it may fall in the tube that is dipped. So one is rise, known as capillary rise. The second one is known as depression, that is decrease in level, that is known as capillary depression. So this capillary rise is represented here. You see here, this is the representation of the capillary rise. So you have a beaker that contains water, and in that water a tube is dipped of diameter d. So what happens? Capillary rise is that this water will rise through the small tube to a particular level. So this level here, it is marked as H. So that H is termed as capillary rise. Okay. Then also you see this upper meniscus of this liquid. So it is concave in nature. So this is happening for a particular type of liquids, and other type of liquids, you see the same container with another liquid and the same tube of same diameter d is dipped. Here you have the capillary depression. That means the level of water in the tube is less than the water surface level in the beaker. So there is dip or fall of liquid than its original level in the tube that is dipped inside the liquid. So one is capillary rise, the second one is capillary depression. So the same tube dipped in the same beaker but with different fluid. So obviously this capillarity or capillary rise or capillary depression, collectively known as the property of capillarity, that is the characteristic of the liquid. Okay, that is a characteristic of the liquid. And now we will discuss more on capillarity. Then why this property of capillarity? That is very important. So the model studies for the capillary action, the reason for the capillary action has been studied. So it is proposed that molecular level interaction is responsible for this capillary action. So cohesion and adhesion. So cohesion, as we know, we have studied in elementary classes, that is attraction between like molecules. That is, with respect to water, it is the cohesive attraction between the like water molecules, the same water molecules. Or if it is glass, the force of attraction between the glass molecules. So adhesion means attraction between unlike molecules. If you have a very small diameter glass tube dipped in water, the attraction between the water molecules and glass molecules is termed as adhesion. So these two are responsible for the capillarity action. So let us discuss the reason for the capillary rise. The reason for the capillary rise is adhesion. It is adhesion because there is attraction between unlike molecules. See, adhesion is responsible for the capillary rise. That is, there is attraction between glass molecules and water molecule. So what happens if there is attraction? This water will try to wet the inside surface of the liquid, so it will rise through. So what is known as wetting? So it would like to contact, because of this adhesive force, it would like to contact with the glass molecules. Which one? The water molecules. So it would like to wet in a better way, so it tries to have a better contact. And how it can create a better contact? It can rise through the glass tube towards the upward direction to a particular height, small h, which is known as capillary rise. Then the second one, that is cohesion. Of course, that is responsible for the capillary depression, because there is no wetting because of weak adhesive force between the glass molecules and water molecules, but the like particles attraction or like molecules attraction, cohesion is more. So it will try to have more cohesive force, and they fall through the tube in order to result in capillary depression. Okay. And now there are some terms you have to be familiar with. One is capillary rise, that we have already discussed. This is capillary rise. What is rise? We know. What is depression? We know. Then meniscus. Meniscus is the upward surface shape of the liquid in the small glass tube. Here you see in capillary rise, it is the meniscus is concave shape. You see the top surface of the liquid in the tube is concave shape, and in capillary depression case, it is convex, surface is convex. So angle of contact, here the angle of contact is represented as theta, that is the angle made by the line that is parallel to or drawn along the meniscus surface, and that line that makes with vertical, that is angle of contact. Here also you see the angle of contact theta, that is an obtuse angle, that is greater than 90, that is line drawn through the convex surface that makes with vertical. So that is the angle of contact. So meniscus and angle of contact are the two important terms with reference to the discussion on capillary rise or capillary depression, or generally capillarity. So we will discuss more on this angle of contact. So what is the effect of angle of contact theta on the capillary rise or capillary depression, and more on the meniscus, etc., and more on the forces which are acting on the liquid inside the tube, etc., in the next slide. Okay. So this is the same figure in an enlarged view is shown here. You see, this is a beaker that contains a liquid, for example it is water, and diameter of the tube that is dipped in is small d, and capillary rise is small h, and the angle of contact is theta, angle of contact made by the line along the meniscus that makes with the vertical, that is theta, that is angle of contact. So obviously there are two forces acting on this part of the liquid. So what do you mean by this part of the liquid? That is capillary rise is h through a diameter d. So there is a volume that is inside the tube, that is a volume is pi by 4 d square h, because pi by 4 d square is the area of the tube multiplied with the rise or height, that will give you pi by 4 d square h, that is a volume of water or volume of liquid in the tube. So if you are multiplied with the density, that will give you mass of that liquid. Okay, so that mass of the liquid inside the tube, this mass inside the tube is subjected to two forces. Okay, so one force, as you know, it is a weight that is acting downwards. Okay, so this we are talking about the mass of liquid that is rising inside the small tube dipped in the liquid. So there is weight of the wetted water. Okay, we will term it as wetted water. Weight of the wetted water that is acting downwards. So we know what is the weight of the wetted water. You know what is the weight? W equal to m into g, that is density into volume into g, as I already told, density into pi by 4 d square h into g, where h is a capillary rise. And of course the upper part or the upper surface is concave, and that is keeping a stretched condition, like just like a stretched film. So why? Because of the property of surface tension. So we have discussed about, we know what is a surface tension, that essentially keep the top's liquid surface in the stretched condition, and because of the property of surface tension only, we are able to keep a razor blade or similar things on a liquid surface. So the surface tension force is acting in the upward direction, that will keep the surface of this liquid, that is concave surface liquid, in the stretched condition. So what is surface tension force? How to estimate the surface tension force? So we have studied that surface tension force is directly proportional to the area on which it is acting, or it is directly proportional to length, to be more correct. So what is the area on which the surface tension force is acting? It is a upper area of the water surface. If it is water, if the liquid is water, the upper area of the water in the tube. So it is pi into d, because it is a perimeter of the tube, it is pi into d, because surface tension force we define it is parallel to, it is proportional to the length. So pi into d, this is pi into d, or 2 pi r, that is a perimeter of water, wetted water in the tube. So multiplied with sigma. Sigma is the coefficient of surface tension that we have studied. So we have sigma into pi into d is the surface tension force acting in a direction which is at an angle theta with the vertical. So the weight is acting vertically down. So we have to resolve this sigma into pi into d, that is surface tension force, along the upward vertical direction. So how to componentize or how to resolve it? Sigma into pi into d into cos theta, because the angle made by sigma pi d direction with vertical is cos theta. So sigma pi d cos theta. So we have the downward force due to weight of the wetted water, rho into pi by 4 d square h into g, and surface tension force is sigma pi d cos theta in the opposite direction. So for equilibrium, as we know, these two forces should be equal for stable capillary rise. So if you are equating for equilibrium, you have sigma pi d cos theta equal to rho h pi by 4 d square h g. So you get h from this equation as 4 sigma cos theta by rho g d. So this equation is used for the estimation of capillary rise or capillary depression in both the cases. So what is the variable here? So with respect to the given liquid, sigma, that is coefficient of surface tension, is a constant. Rho density is a constant because liquids are incompressible. G and d, the diameter of the tube, is also a constant. So only variable is theta, So for different types of tubings with the different diameter, you will be having different value for h. So h depends on the given liquid, the tubing diameter, that means the pipe diameter, and theta, the angle of contact. So theta can be less than 90. So we have seen in the previous case, you see this previous case, we have seen here theta is less than 90, and in this case theta is greater than 90. So here if theta is less than 90, that is acute angle, h is positive because cos value from 0 to 90, that is positive. So cos theta, h equal to 4 sigma cos theta by rho gd. In that equation, if theta is less than 90, h is positive, so it is capillary rise. If theta is greater than 90, that is obtuse angle, so cosine of greater than 90 angle, so it is negative, so h is negative, so capillary depression. So if you are using water and blood, you have capillary rise generally, and the liquid that experiences capillary depression is mercury. So you should study that. So we have seen the reason for the phenomenon of capillarity, in small tubings that is happening. So that is a major property of a liquid, and that is responsible for the rise of sap in trees, that we know, and we have derived an equation for the estimation of capillary rise or capillary depression in terms of the essential fluid properties sigma and rho and cosine of the angle of contact theta. Now we move on to the next property, that is compressibility. So it is known to everyone. Compressibility means, in simple sentence, it is the ease with which a particular substance can be compressed. If you apply a force, how effectively or how easily you can compress. What is meant by compression? It is pressurization. So what happens when a body is compressed or pressurized or tried to compress? It will reduce in its volume. So pressurization means compression, or it tries to reduce the volume. So there is change in volume under pressure. So pressure we have defined. So if you have a normal force or the compressive force of nature that is perpendicular to the area, that is pressure, and due to this pressure, application of the pressure, if the volume of that particular body reduces, we say that that particular body is compressible in nature. So what happens to liquids if you are applying a force? So before that, what happens to solids if you are applying the force? Because there is no change in volume normally. So solids are treated as a separate class. So what happens to liquids? There is very little change in volume, that is a minor change in volume by the application of an external force. So if you take water as well as hydrogen gas of equal volume, say 1 liter in a container, and you fit a piston cylinder arrangement, and if you try to compress water and if you try to compress hydrogen by application of the same force, what you can sense? Hydrogen can be easily compressed, but you cannot easily compress water. So water or liquids are generally treated as incompressible in nature because of negligible change in volume under the application of an external force or pressure. Whereas gases, because of the inherent property at the molecular level, they can be compressed very easily. So the ease with which a gas can be compressed is termed as its compressibility. Okay, so you see here, for each atmosphere increase in pressure, the volume of water would decrease 46.4 parts per million. That shows the negligible change in volume for each atmosphere increase. That means each bar increase in pressure. So this shows how incompressible a liquid is. Then how to quantify this compressibility? As I already told, liquids are treated as incompressible and gases are treated as compressible. So this compressible fluid flow or gas dynamics is a very important topic of study in mechanical engineering, especially when you are dealing with aerospace engineering. So we study compressibility with respect to gases only. So how to quantify this compressibility? The compressibility is quantified as beta, that is a coefficient of compressibility. How it is defined? It is defined as minus 1 by V into dV by dP. So what is dP? dP is a change in pressure applied. What is dV? That is a incremental change in volume by the application of a pressure. V is the original volume. So what is this dV by V? If you are applying an increase in pressure dP, there is a incremental change in volume dV of the volume V. So dV by V will be, it is a ratio of change in volume to the original volume. You can represent it as strain in some cases. So why this minus symbol? Because when pressure is applied, volume decreases. That means when pressure is increased, volume decreased. So decrease is represented as a negative sign here. So beta is minus 1 by V into dV by dP, dV divided by dP, or minus 1 by dP into dV by dV, that is incremental change in volume with respect to the original volume. So that is one of the ways in which you can quantify the compressibility. So higher value of beta represents what? Higher value of beta represents a highly compressible gas. As the beta value reduces, the ease of compressibility or ease with which the gas can be compressed or compressibility also reduces. Then one more term, that is bulk modulus of elasticity, that is 1 by beta. K, it is represented as K, 1 by beta, the reciprocal of this one, that is dP divided by minus dV by V. So that is volumetric strain, or that is same as far as a compressible gas is concerned, dV by V equal to d rho by rho, because density is not constant for a compressible gas. So high value of K represents an incompressible fluid. So let us compare the modulus of elasticity or bulk modulus of elasticity for water and air. So what is the value for water? It is very high value, 2 into 10 raised to 6 kilopascal. Okay, air it is 101 kilopascal. You know, that means air is approximately 20,000 times more compressible than water, because air is having a very low value of bulk modulus of elasticity. That means a very high value of coefficient of compressibility. So air is 20,000 times more compressible. So water is generally treated as incompressible in our analysis, whereas air is a compressible gas, and we have to apply all the modalities of a compressible gas while we are dealing with air. Okay, so this is a representation of how this compression action is happening. It's a piston cylinder arrangement. This is a gas inside. You apply pressure. What happens? Volume reduces. Then if you are again applying pressure, the volume is much reduced. So this is a representation of the compressibility of the gas using a piston cylinder arrangement. Okay, so we have discussed about two more properties. One is capillarity, the other one is compressibility. And we will try to see some of the common physical phenomena for your better understanding. You know, see, we come across a lot of physical examples, physical instances, physical cases in our daily life. So we should be able to correlate the physical examples with related to the actual reason for such physical cases. So you see, petrol evaporates more readily than water at ordinary temperature. You know, what may be the reason for this? The simple reason is the boiling point of petrol is less than that of water. What is the boiling point of petrol or gasoline? Generally it is about 95 degrees Celsius. Water at 1 atmospheric pressure. So these two values are at 1 atmospheric pressure. Water it is around 100 degrees Celsius. So since boiling point of petrol or gasoline is less than water, it evaporates at a faster rate. But at the molecular level, the intermolecular force of attraction is the major factor that determines the ease with which that particular liquid can be vaporized or evaporated. You have comparatively weak intermolecular forces of attraction in petrol than water, because in water you have the hydrogen bonding that provides a strong attractive force. So if you break the attractive force, that is the binding force, you can have the phase change, because this intermolecular force of attraction is binding together the molecules together. So if you are able to weaken this intermolecular force of attraction, there is chance of phase change or converting from liquid to vapor when you are applying heat energy. So that is a key. And the second similar question is, liquid droplets are generally spherical. I think you know the reason, because you have studied this in +2, I think. You know, because this is due to the property of surface tension. So what is surface tension? So it always tends the molecules to stick together. So just like a stretched film, you know, because it's a cohesive attractive force between the molecules is the major reason for the surface tension. So always prefer to have a minimum area if that surface tension force tends the molecules to stick together. So always that particular shape is to have minimum surface area. So minimum surface area. For the minimum surface area, we prefer to have a spherical shape. That's why raindrops are spherical. So first is related to what? It is related to the intermolecular force of attraction or vapor pressure, and this is related to the surface tension. Okay. Then some more questions. You see, you can expect similar questions. Reasons for some physical instances, or you can correlate these physical instances with the respective physical property of fluids. So property to physical case correlation is happening in this slide. Some common questions. Rise of sap in a tree. Just now I have explained that is due to the property of capillary rise or capillarity. The second one is spherical shaped drop of liquid. Just now we have discussed that is due to the surface tension property of the liquid. Third one is cavitation. So cavitation needs little explanation, because if a fluid is flowing through a pipe, or if there is a flow system, suddenly if pressure reduces below the saturation vapor pressure, the liquid will evaporate. So while discussing about the vapor pressure, we have seen when a liquid will evaporate. A liquid will evaporate when its pressure is less than the saturation vapor pressure. So suddenly if the pressure reduces, there is vaporization. So these vapor molecules or vapor bubbles will form, and it will create a cavitation effect or cavitating effect, especially in hydraulic machines such as turbines and pumps. You will study later. So the reason for cavitation, that means cavitation is correlated to the property of fluid, that is liquid, that is vapor pressure. Then flow of oil jet in an unknown stream. Oh, why this is happening? That means continuous flow of jet, not a broken flow of jet of oil. What may be the reason? Because property of viscosity, that is sticking the particles together. So it is an unbroken chain of oil, so that is the other property, viscosity. So we have discussed about almost all properties included in the syllabus, almost all properties of fluids, for example mass density, weight density, specific gravity, capillarity, vapor pressure, surface tension, viscosity, etc. And viscosity we have studied in detail. Also we discussed compressibility also. So we will study about the viscosity in a detailed manner in the subsequent video lectures. Thank you.